Hey, yo, what's hanging, party people? It is Cryptophobia here today with a little bit of a Clash Royale. That was a going. It is my first video doing this particular game. I kind of got into it after watching a few YouTube videos and decided to go for it. So this first video, I believe I am fighting against Sinar. I didn't really pay attention there because I was too busy with my incredible introduction. And these are just a few fights that I went through. They were pretty close. Yeah, it is Sinar. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but this is my first time doing this, so I haven't ever commentated it, but I've been playing the game for about a week and a half now, and I just kind of chose a bunch of games with this deck that I built up, and they're all pretty close. Like, I actually had to fight and kind of give myself a good luck every half second. So here I was just I ended up having to do a lot of countering because he did a much better job managing his elixir than I did, which is probably going to be a recurring theme for the rest of my existence in this game. But I had to do a lot of countering because he was actually doing a pretty good job against my deck, because I realized that this is a pretty easy one to counter. It's a basic one as long as you can get rid of my knight, I'm sorry, my prince. I always get those two mixed up. As long as you can get my prince and my giant down, I really don't have a whole lot, and I end up having to rely on the rocket a few times. I believe I have one in here that is actually going to be relying almost exclusively on the rocket, because it gets down to like the last second and I just hurl that Hail Mary rocket over there to get rid of the tower. Excuse me. And keep the game going. I believe that's the next match. So he kept sending his knight over there, so I pretty much just said, screw it, I'm going to save up my elixir, and I'm just going to hit his tower, because he's very clearly not paying attention to mine at the moment. Or he's not paying attention to his at the moment, so I just kind of said, screw it, I'm just going to overload his king tower and just try to get that 3-star, and I got it. Good game. Good job, Sinar. That was an awesome job, dude. And now we are going to be fighting against Hilla 13. I believe this is the one I was telling you about, and this one, if I remember right, was pretty fun. He was using a lot of like defensive expos and stuff like that, and cannons, and he was really tearing my knight apart, because the knight, he's really powerful if you can get him to stay on an objective, but if he gets distracted by a couple of defenses like that, he's just gonna melt. Same with the Valkyrie, as you can see there. Like, she was just completely focused on the tower, and she got melted by the expo and the tower together. Thankfully, the giant has a hell of a lot more hit points, and he can just walk right through most of it. But when you have the skeleton army on him, he's going to die because he will not focus on them. So he used a lot of skeleton armies, and they did a really good job actually stopping my pushes. And he definitely made me work for this victory. I just kept trying to send out the knight, but he kept countering it with cannons, and the expo was just tearing my knight apart. He didn't even get a hit on it that time. So if you really are tired of the knight, if you have an expo, use it alongside cannons. Now here I didn't update the deck, because right here I was using cannons, but I decided not to use them because they weren't really fitting in that well with me. And this was seriously just a tough one, because as soon as I would try to get a push going on one side, he would have a push going on the other side, and I still suck at the game. I'm in the third arena, but I am no professional, I will tell you that right now. So I ended up having to use a lot of arrows in this one, because he kept throwing a lot of skeleton armies, and I believe after I get his first tower destroyed here with the rocket, if I use the rocket on this one. Okay, no, I guess I must have taken that one out of this. I'm sorry, I edited this video yesterday, but I believe that I have one of these that he was just going crazy with the skeleton armies and minions and all kinds of crap, and I just had to keep throwing arrows at it, or else I was just gonna be doomed. So I believe after he finishes this little push, I managed to get rid of this push, and I'm gonna throw a giant down right here by the expo. And unfortunately, I wasn't paying attention. I forgot that the red moved out of the way, and I could have just put the giant right next to it. But regardless, I do get a pretty nice push on this, and I believe that this is the last push I need to take the king tower. So I do believe that I win this one with this push. I ended up throwing my Valkyrie down because I know that he kept throwing small troops, and it ended up really saving me here when he threw down that skeleton army, because if I didn't have the Valkyrie there, I wouldn't have had the elixir ready to throw the arrows down, and that Valkyrie definitely did a good job taking care of the army. So yet again, good game, Hilla. That was awesome. And our final battle is going to be against Twilight Sparta. So we're going to be jumping into this battle. I don't remember exactly how this one went, but I do remember that my basic strategy in this deck was basically to save up my elixir in the beginning and try to get my and just try to, if I can use my brain for a second, just try to get a giant and a prince going at it every single time, because if you can get the giant far enough ahead of the prince, and then you throw the prince behind the giant, they will destroy a tower easy. Especially when you have stuff like the cannon and the expo and all that fun junk. Excuse me. Getting right up on you. So this is a pretty easy deck to counter, and I believe this is actually the one that I used the rocket on, now that I'm looking at it. I'll be a little bit more organized next time and probably do the voice recording on the same day. But this is a pretty fun battle. This one was a lot more fun just because he really gave me a hard time. And I had to keep being really defensive with the arrows, because he, at one point, he actually did have a huge number of troops just like hanging out at my base. And I believe that this one was really close. I think that my king tower got down to like 400 points. So this one was a pretty crazy little battle. And I just had to keep fighting him back, and it was really kind of an inchworm back and forth kind of thing. And the Valkyrie saved my ass in this game. In these couple games, is because she was really tearing apart the small units that my big guys just kept getting torn apart by. So this deck, it kind of thrives in the last minute just because there is some higher elixir stuff with a lot of lower elixir stuff. So you can really get a whole lot going, and if this little section right here didn't happen in double elixir, I would have died. I would have straight up lost this battle. But thankfully, the Valkyrie yet again taking out a lot of those troops, and I have to keep throwing arrows every single time because he keeps bunching up a lot of minions, a lot of archers, and a lot of barbarians and goblins. He is really giving me a hard time, and once this gets down to about 7 or 5 seconds or so, I just have to throw a Hail Mary rocket over there, hoping that it's going to do enough damage, because my knight gets taken out. My goblins don't quite have the chance to because they get overwhelmed by the knight. But the rocket gets in there in time, just a couple seconds left, it goes into sudden death, and this is where it gets really intense. I have to keep throwing arrows after arrows after arrows because he keeps getting me up in these rushes. And honestly, I was worried that my prince was not going to be able to handle it for me up top because there was so much crap going on down below. I just had to keep holding my arrows down, waiting for them to all bunch up because they were seriously going to take me down if I didn't. So this is definitely my favorite and most intense battle out of the 3 that I got recorded for you, and I hope that I can bring a lot more of these kind of battles to you, because these are the ones that I enjoy watching and I enjoy playing because they're actually a lot more difficult. So that was a really good game on Hilla's part, and thank you guys, or I'm sorry, Twilight Sparta. I'm screwing up. Sorry guys. You have an awesome day.